My name is Azra Vale and I just turned 16. On my birthday, the man I had called Dad for the last 12 years threw a $10 bill at my face and shouted, "Get out. I'm done paying for another man's trash." He thought those words would hurt me. He thought that a crumpled $10 bill in the slammed door would break me. But he was wrong. That was only the start. I picked up the bill, looked him straight in the eyes, smiled, and handed him the sealed envelope I had been keeping safe for 2 whole years. I knew everything that was written inside. He tore it open. His face went pale like he had seen a ghost. Then he looked out the window and froze. Outside, through the thick Spokane snow, a black Range Rover was parked at the curb. The driver's door opened slowly. A tall man in a long dark coat stepped out and started walking toward our house. I still remember every little detail about that moment, but before I tell you who that man was, I need to go back and tell you how everything really started. I can remember the day like it was yesterday. It was the year I turned 4. Snow had covered Interstate 90 so thickly that cars were moving slowly, and everything felt white and quiet. The phone rang while I was sitting at the kitchen table, coloring. My mom, Serelda, answered it. Then she dropped the receiver. She didn't cry right away. He just stared at the wall, frozen. I didn't understand why. Then Kalen, my uncle, came in from the garage. He looked at my mom's face and knew right away. My parents were gone. A semi-truck had hit them. The funeral was small, just a few people. I wore a navy coat that was 2 sizes too big. I held Kalen's hand the whole time because everyone told me he was family now. He and Serelda stood at the front of the church with me between them. People said over and over how lucky I was to have them. They moved me into their house on South Hill that same week. At first, everything looked normal. Christmas cards with all 4 of us smiling. Kalen taught me to ride a bike in the driveway. Serelda braids my hair before my first grade pictures. I called them Mom and Dad because that's what they told me to do and nobody corrected it. Then my baby brother Tavik was born when I was 6. Suddenly everything changed. There were new toys just for him, new clothes just for him, and new everything for him. My old stuffed bear disappeared. My bedroom became the nursery. I got moved to a smaller room at the back of the house that smelled like mothballs. By the time I was 8, the difference between Tavik and me was impossible to miss. Tavik got a shiny red bicycle for Christmas. I got a sweater 2 sizes too big from the clearance rack. When I asked Kalen why, he just said, "You're older. You don't need as much." Serelda smiled that tight, fake smile and quickly changed the subject. My 9th birthday came and went without a single word from anyone. No cake. No candles. No, "Happy birthday." I sat on my bed until midnight hoping someone would remember. Nobody did. I cried so hard that I threw up in the bathroom, but I cleaned it up myself so they wouldn't get angry. The real wake-up call came the winter I turned 10. I went downstairs for water and heard voices in the kitchen. The light was off, but the hallway glowed from under the door. I pressed my ear to the wood and listened. Kalen's voice was low, almost a growl. "The trust from my brother is sitting at $1 million, plus the life insurance payout brings it to $1.6 million. As long as we keep her until she's 18, we control all the money. The state pays extra because we're listed as the parents. Nobody is checking." Serelda laughed softly. "And when she turns 18, then we're done. She gets whatever is left, if anything." I froze. My glass slipped from my hand and shattered on the hardwood floor. The kitchen light flicked on and Kalen's face appeared in the doorway. His eyes were narrow and dangerous. "Go back to bed, Azra," he said. That was the first time he ever used my name like a warning. From that night on, I understood exactly what I was to them. Money. Every forced smile I gave, every family photo, every good girl moment was part of the act. I stopped asking for things. I stopped expecting birthdays. I started watching, listening, and waiting for the day I could prove who they really were. Those words from the kitchen haunted me for 4 years. I stopped sleeping through the night. Every small sound, every creak in the hallway made me sit up terrified. I thought they might come check if I was still useful to them. I searched everywhere for anything that might explain why my own family treated me like money. I looked through every drawer, every box in the attic, and every corner of the garage. I found nothing. Then, the week I turned 14, something happened. I was cleaning the spare closet, something Serelda always made me do before the holidays, when my hand brushed something cold at the very back. It was a small gray lockbox, the kind with a cheap padlock. A strip of masking tape on the lid had my mom's handwriting in faded blue ink. "Open only when you're 14. I love you forever, Mom." I carried it to my room, my heart hammering so loudly I thought someone would hear it. I used a paperclip and a YouTube video to open the lock in less than 2 minutes. Inside was a single envelope, thick cream paper, sealed with red wax. The letter was 3 pages long, dated 2 months before the crash. My sweetest Azra, if you are reading this, I am no longer there to protect you. Before I married your dad, I was in a short relationship with a man named Oren Thala. We were young. It ended when he got engaged to someone else and I thought that chapter was over. 3 months later, I discovered I was pregnant with you. I never told Oren. I married your dad because I loved him and I wanted you to have a family. But I have seen how Kaylin looks at money. I have seen the way he talks about trust and life insurance. I am afraid that after I am gone he will try to control everything that is meant for you. The trust is $1,200,000 from your grandparents, plus $400,000 in life insurance. It is in your name only. Kaylin is only the trustee until you are 18. I have hired an attorney, Irindra Quill, in downtown Spokane to watch over it. Her card is taped inside this lid. There is also a strand of my hair and a copy of your original birth certificate, father listed as unknown. If you ever need proof of who your real father is, use it. You are not a burden. You are my miracle. All my love, Mom. I read it 4 times until the words stopped swimming in front of my eyes. The name Oren Thaler meant nothing at first but also everything at once. I found Irindra Quill's card exactly where Mom said it would be. I emailed her from the library computer using a fake name at first. She replied in 20 minutes. If you are Jennifer's daughter, call me immediately, she said. I called from a payphone outside the grocery store so nobody could trace me. Irindra's voice was calm, kind, but serious. She already knew about the trust. She mailed me a secret DNA kit with no return address. I waited until Kaylin left his hairbrush on the bathroom counter after his shower. I took 3 strands of hair with roots still attached and mailed the kit from a Dropbox across town. 17 days later, the results arrived at a P.O. box Irindra had set up. Probability of paternity, 99.99%. Oren Thaler was my dad. I sat on the floor of the public library bathroom and cried so hard I almost threw up. Then I wiped my face and went to the only person I trusted with something this big. Safira. She has been my best friend since 6th grade, the only one who never believed the perfect family act. I showed her the letter, the DNA report, everything. She read silently, then pulled me into the tightest hug I had ever felt. We didn't sleep that night. We just sat on her bedroom floor whispering plans, promises, and every swear word we knew about Kaylin and Sorelda. For the first time in 10 years I wasn't alone. The next 2 years became a secret countdown only I could see. Oren emailed me the same night Irindra forwarded him my test results. His first message was only 4 words. I should have known. We started messaging once a week, then every few days. He never pushed. He never asked for photos or phone calls until I was ready. And now, 16, everything was about to change. The envelope, the $10, the black Range Rover outside. Everything I had worked for, everything my mom had prepared me for was finally ready. I had proof. I had help. And I had hope. For the first time, I wasn't scared of my so-called parents anymore. I was ready. When I finally sent him a picture of me holding the lockbox, he sent back a voice message right away. His voice shook when he said my name like he had been holding back for a long time. He wanted to fly to Spokane the very next day. I begged him to wait. I told him it wasn't the right time yet, that we needed to be careful, that rushing would make everything worse. In Washington, 16 is a very important number. 16 is when a kid can start to take control of their own life in the eyes of the law. At 16, I could ask the court to change my guardian if I could show that the one I had wasn't treating me right. I could make decisions for myself if I could prove my current guardian wasn't protecting my best interests. Irindra had already written all the papers I would need. She had made sure everything was perfect. All we needed was the right moment to give the court these papers. Timing was everything. So we planned quietly and carefully. I had to act like everything was normal at home. I smiled at the right times, helped Knox with his homework when he asked, and said, "Yes, Dad," whenever Kaylin told me to do something. It was like I was acting in a play. Every day I pretended to be the daughter he wanted me to be. But inside I was counting. I counted the days until I could finally take my life into my own hands. When Kaylin spoke to me, I counted 722 days. 722. 721, 720. That was how long I had been waiting. The morning I turned 16 arrived gray and quiet. It was like the sky knew something big was about to happen. There were no balloons on the mailbox. There were no pancakes with candles. Tavik was already at school and Serelda had gone to her yoga class. Kalen was in the kitchen sitting at the island in his fancy bank suit, scrolling through his phone. He didn't even notice me walking in at first. I was wearing the same jeans and hoodie I had slept in, messy hair and all. Then he finally looked up. He reached into his wallet, pulled out a crisp $10 bill and flicked it across the granite counter. It landed at my feet. "Get out," he said flatly. "I'm done paying for another man's trash." His words hurt exactly the way he wanted them to. But I had waited 2 long years for this moment. I bent down, picked up the bill, folded it once and slipped it into my pocket. Then for the first time in 10 years I smiled a real, honest smile. I pulled out the thick manila envelope from my backpack. "I know I told him," I thought. He snorted. "No, what exactly?" I placed the envelope in front of him. Inside were the papers Arindra had prepared. There was the temporary order signed by a Spokane County judge the day before. There was a certified DNA report that proved Oren was my father. And there was the petition showing 12 years of Kalen misusing money that was meant for me. His fingers shook as he tore open the envelope. Page after page revealed his own forged signatures, proof of all the things he had done wrong. Just then the doorbell rang. Serelda was still gone. Tavik was at school. Kalen froze with the papers half out of the envelope. I walked past him and opened the front door myself. Oren Thaler stood on the porch in a dark coat, snowflakes melting on his shoulders. Irindra Quill stood one step behind him holding a briefcase. Oren's eyes met mine for the first time in person. He didn't smile, but he didn't need to. The moment was perfect. He stepped inside, leaving wet footprints on the hardwood floor. His voice was calm but strong. "I'm here for my daughter," he said. "You don't have any legal claim on her anymore." Kalen opened his mouth but no words came out. The air in the living room felt heavy and frozen. Even the old grandfather clock in the hallway seemed to stop ticking for a moment. Kalen stood there holding the temporary guardianship papers like they were in a language he didn't understand. His mouth moved, opening and closing, but only a small, scared sound came out. Irindra calmly opened her briefcase and set a dark green folder with a gold seal from Spokane County Superior Court on the coffee table. She slid it toward Kalen so every page was visible. "Temporary order effective at 9:30 this morning," she said. "Azura is no longer your ward. Try to stop her from leaving and you will be in handcuffs before lunch." Kalen finally looked at the papers carefully. He saw the judge's signature on the last page and the paper slipped from his hands like it burned him. Oren didn't raise his voice. He slowly laid more papers on the table, one by one. The soft thud of each paper hitting the glass made the room feel even quieter. There were bank papers showing that $8,000 had been used to pay for Tavik's private school deposit, even though Tavik had always gone to public school. There was a $12,000 payment for a car for Victoria Vale. The same month I was told braces were too expensive. There was a $43,000 resort reservation in Los Cabos for 4 adults and 2 children during Christmas. While I spent that Christmas eating cereal alone at home. Oren kept placing papers on the table. A boat loan, hockey equipment and travel team fees that cost more in one season than I had ever received in 4 years. A casino cash advance from the trust's debit card. Every sheet showed money he had taken while I had nothing. 12 years. $212,000. Serelda quietly came in through the garage. She was wearing her lavender yoga outfit, holding a stainless steel water bottle. She was trembling so hard that the ice rattled inside. I never signed anything," she said, voice shaking. Oren looked at her. "Your signature is on 14 of these withdrawals, Mrs. Vale. Page 27 if you'd like to check." Her knees buckled. She grabbed the doorframe to stay upright. From upstairs, Tavik came down in his Gonzaga bulldog pajama pants. His hair was sticking up and his eyes were wide. He took in the papers, his father's ghost-white face, his mother half collapsed against the wall, and the stranger who looked like an older, richer version of me. He opened his mouth but didn't say anything. He just stared shocked. Irindra snapped the briefcase closed. "The Spokane County Sheriff's Civil Division is on standby," she said. "We hope this stays peaceful." Finally, Kalen shouted, raw and angry. "You can't prove any of this. I'll fight it in court." You'll lose, Oren. Oren was calm. And when you do, the DA gets the forgery file, 18 counts at least. We're letting you keep the civil case. Take it. Then Oren turned to me and held out his hand. I took it. His hand was warm and steady, unlike anything I had ever felt before. I grabbed my duffel bag with 3 hoodies, 2 pairs of jeans, my mom's lockbox, and walked toward the door. Behind me, Kaylin shouted threats about lawyers and lawsuits. But the words lost power with every step I took. Oren opened the back door of his waiting Range Rover. I climbed in. Irindra took the front seat. The driver started the car and snow poured down in thick, heavy flakes. For the first time in 12 years, I didn't feel cold. Snow fell again over Spokane the night of the Spokane First Bank Azure auction. The Davenport Grand Ballroom sparkled under crystal chandeliers. 300 guests in black suits and dresses walked around silent auction tables. Kaylin was still the branch president. The board hadn't done anything to stop him yet. The lawsuit was still under review. He sat at the head table, smiling for sponsors, shaking hands as if nothing had changed. But he didn't know the lead sponsor had changed. Oren had quietly pledged $300,000 the week the invitations went out. The bank president even called to thank him personally, not asking why a Seattle shipping billionaire cared so much. I walked in on Oren's arm, wearing a long navy silk gown that had been delivered the day before. Heads turned. Phones went up. Whispers moved through the room. We stopped at each table so Oren could introduce me. This is my daughter Azura, he said. Some people recognized my last name and put the pieces together. Others just smiled politely. A few asked what school I went to. I told the truth for the first time. I'm finishing the semester online while my guardianship is being settled. The MC tapped the microphone. Dinner ended and the lights dimmed for the live auction. Oren was going to give the sponsor a thank you speech first. He held my hand once and walked up the steps to the stage. The room went completely quiet. Oren smiled at the crowd. Good evening, Spokane. Tonight we've already raised an incredible amount for the Children's Hospital, and I'm proud to be part of it. But before we start bidding on the big prizes, I want you to meet someone. He turned to me. I walked up the steps. The spotlight shone on me. 300 people were staring. Phones lifted. Oren said, "This is my daughter, Azura Vale. 16 years ago I didn't know she existed. 4 months ago she found me. Tonight I get to tell all of you how proud I am to finally call her mine." The room gasped. At the head table, Kaylin jumped up so fast his chair scraped the floor. His wine glass tipped. Red wine spilled across the white tablecloth like blood. Someone whispered, "That's the branch president's daughter, right?" Oren kept talking. I had spent my life being told I was a burden. I was denied basic things while money meant for me paid for vacations and cars. But I never gave up. I fought. I found the truth. No. I was finally home. The whispers became murmurs. Phones were no longer hidden. People were filming. Kaylin's face changed colors from red to white as he realized everything had come out. I stood on the stage holding Oren's hand. For the first time I felt safe. For the first time I felt loved. For the first time I felt like I belonged somewhere. This was my family. This was my home. Even though the snow was falling outside, my heart felt warm. The ballroom sparkled and so did I. I had waited so long for this moment and now it was finally real. I looked at Oren and smiled. He smiled back, proud and happy. And I knew that from now on my life was going to be different. I didn't feel scared anymore. I didn't feel alone anymore. I felt strong. I felt free. He took one step toward the stage, then another, like he might suddenly run at it and make a big scene. Serelda grabbed his sleeve and whispered something so quietly that no one could hear it. Oren put his arm around my shoulders, holding me steady and safe. He spoke into the microphone with a calm, strong voice. "Thank you, Spokane, for letting me stand here with my daughter tonight. Let's make this our best auction ever." Then he handed me the microphone for the ceremonial paddle raise. My hand didn't shake at all. I felt nervous but not scared. By the time we stepped down from the stage, the video of everything happening was already uploaded online. People around us were whispering and pointing at their phones. I tried not to look at anyone, just held on to Oren's arm and followed him. Later that night, the Spokesman Review homepage showed a big, bold picture. Kaylin Vale was frozen in the middle of stumbling, red wine spreading all over the white tablecloth. Oren and I were standing under a bright spotlight on the stage, looking calm. The headline was huge. Billionaire shipping boss claims daughter at Bank Azure Gala. Local man shocked. People typed comments faster than we could blink. Some were angry. Some were laughing. Some were just shocked. My heart beat a little faster, but I felt ready. I wasn't afraid anymore. I knew the truth was on my side. The civil trial started on a cold April morning in Spokane County Superior Court. Courtroom 3 smelled like old wood and strong industrial cleaner. There were only about 20 people in the gallery. Some reporters with notepads, a bank compliance officer, and a few curious neighbors who had watched the gala video online. Kalen sat at the defendant's table, wearing a navy suit that looked much bigger on him than it had a few months before. Serelda sat 2 rows behind him, holding a tissue she never used. Tavik wasn't there because school kept him away. Irindra arrived with 4 big banker's boxes on a metal cart. She pushed them past the bar and into the courtroom like she was delivering groceries. The bailiff raised an eyebrow but said nothing. Judge Valen came in at exactly 9 o'clock. No jury. This was just about money. Irindra began speaking first. She was calm, sharp, and focused like a surgeon with a knife. Your Honor, she said, the plaintiff will show that for 12 years the defendant, acting as trustee of a revocable living trust created for the benefit of Azure Vale, systematically took $212,000 for personal use. Every single withdrawal broke Washington law. We ask for full repayment, plus 8% interest per year and attorney fees. Kalen's lawyer stood up and started talking about reasonable family expenses and discretion. The judge cut him off after only 30 seconds. Save it for evidence, counsel, he said. Irindra called me first. I walked to the stand wearing a simple gray blazer Oren had bought me. I swore to tell the truth. The clerk handed me a microphone. Irindra asked me about my childhood expenses. I told her everything. Second-hand clothes from Plato's closet. No phone until I bought one at 15, no school trips, no allowance. While I spoke, she projected giant pictures on the screen. There were receipts with Kalen's signature, like a check for a flat-screen TV, the same month he told me we couldn't afford new shoes. I felt a little angry, but I tried to stay calm. Then Irindra brought out the bank statements. 4 big boxes became 400 pages of evidence, shown one at a time on the big screen. $5,000 labeled orthodontic expenses, even though I never had braces. $22,000 sent to a travel agency for a Hawaii trip, but I stayed home with a neighbor. $38,000 cashier's check to a jewelry store, the diamond earrings Serelda wore to the gala. Each page showed fake trustee signatures, enlarged to fill the screen. Kalen stared straight ahead. His jaw was so tight that the muscle twitched. Irindra rested after 2 hours. The defense didn't call any witnesses. Kalen's lawyer asked for a recess, but the judge denied it. Closing arguments came next. Irindra said, the defendant stole from an orphan he pretended was his daughter. The evidence is clear. Please make him pay everything he owes plus interest and fees. The defense just said, they were reasonable family expenses. Judge Valen removed his glasses. I've seen enough, he said. Judgment for the plaintiff. He listed the amount, $212,000, plus 8% interest for every year, plus $48,000 in attorney fees. All of it had to be paid within 30 days. He hit the gavel. The sound was sharp and loud like a gunshot. I felt a little shiver run down my spine, but it was a good shiver, like justice had finally been done. The bank fired Kalen the following Monday. The official letter said he had lost the bank's trust and violated its rules. He cleared his desk before lunch. 3 weeks later, the foreclosure notice appeared on the South Hill house. The same bank he had worked for took it back. Serelda packed her things into her SUV and moved into her mother's old double-wide trailer, 20 miles east of Airway Heights. Tavik texted me once from a flip phone. Sis, I swear I didn't know any of this. I'm sorry. I read it once, then deleted it and blocked the number. That was the last message I would get from him. I wanted no part of the lies or the past anymore. That same week I went to the courthouse again, this time for a simple name change hearing. It took 10 minutes with no one arguing against it. The judge signed the order. Azure Vale ceased to exist. My new name, Azure Thaler, became official. Oren Thaler was listed as my guardian. I walked outside into the spring sunlight, feeling lighter than I had since I was 4 years old. It felt like a fresh start, a chance to finally breathe freely. Another winter came to the house on Lake Kane. I stood on the wide cedar balcony wrapped in one of Oren's old University of Washington hoodies, watching the lake freeze under a thin layer of snow. The house was 45 minutes east of Spokane, far enough that no one from my old life could show up without calling first. Oren appeared beside me with 2 mugs of hot cocoa. He handed me one without asking if I wanted it. He already knew. We drank quietly, letting the steam curl into the cold air. It was peaceful. I felt safe. That day I understood that home isn't just a place. It's the people who make you feel safe. In January, Oren started teaching me how to drive. Not on regular roads because there was too much ice. Instead we drove on the frozen lake. He marked a big oval with orange cones. I crept along at 15 miles per hour in his old Suburban while he sat in the passenger seat. Every time the back end fishtailed I laughed. "Easy on the wheel," he said. "Trust the surface." He never yelled, never panicked. I felt proud and capable under his calm guidance. Some nights we stayed up late in the library he had turned into my study space. Bookshelves reached from floor to ceiling. The fireplace actually worked and warmed the room. He told me stories about the summer he met my mom in Seattle. How she spilled coffee on his shoes at Pike Place Market and laughed instead of saying sorry. How she loved jazz clubs and hated cilantro. How she could beat anyone at the pool after just 2 drinks. I listened eagerly, learning about the mom I barely remembered. My phone stayed quiet most days. Sorelda tried calling from an unknown number twice. I let it ring. Tavik sent one more message from a friend's phone, apologizing and promising he would pay me back somehow when he was older. I read it once, then deleted it. Old classmates who suddenly wanted to check and got blocked the second a heart emoji appeared. I didn't hate them. I just didn't owe them anything anymore. 12 years of lies had ended. It was my turn to choose my life. Spring brought the acceptance letter from the University of Washington. I got a full scholarship to the Foster School of Business for academic merit. They even read my essay about fiduciary fraud, second chances, and learning from mistakes. Oren read the letter over my shoulder. He didn't say anything for a long time. Then he pulled me into a hug so tight it made words unnecessary. I still called him Oren, not Dad. Dad felt too big, too earned all at once. He never pushed me to call him anything else. Once, by accident, I said Dad when talking about him picking me up after orientation. He smiled so wide his eyes glistened, then pretended he didn't notice. But I knew he did. I knew what home felt like now. Some nights I opened the lockbox on my desk. Mom's letter was soft from being read so many times. I traced her handwriting and learned something new every time. Family isn't just the people who share your blood. It isn't only the people who raise you. Family is the person who chooses to stay even when your story comes out ugly. The person who shows up every single day without keeping score. The one who sees the worst parts of your story and says, "That doesn't change how much you are worth to me." Oren chose that every morning. Every cup of cocoa on the balcony. Every driving lesson on the frozen lake. The people who spent 12 years teaching me I was disposable lost the right to my time the moment they proved money mattered more than I did. I'm 18 now. My trust is finally fully mine. I'm heading to Seattle in the fall to study finance because I want to understand every rule they broke, every loophole they used, so no kid ever has to fight this hard again. And when people ask where I'm from, I don't mention South Hill anymore. I say I'm from the house on the lake, the place where someone finally taught me what the word home really means. Blood doesn't get to write your ending. The people who stay do.